Welcome to the wrong news at 5 at the right time with Wolf Alexander. You're a congressman if you live in the 10th district of New York. And you're a congressman anyway, no matter where you live. As long as you're not a billionaire, then I'm definitely not your congressman. I'm going to have a special guest who's never going to go away, unfortunately. His name is, well, I'm not going to tell you. I'll let him tell you. He might pick out some name or say his real name. I don't know. But I'll let you know if it's real or fake. And then he'll get mad, and then I'll make fun of him again. And anyway. So in the meantime, I've had a good day so far. It's nice and warm, comparatively, and I was over at the fountain, and wow, did I have a good time over there doing a television show, and I don't even, it's, yeah, there was the Truth or Dare I didn't get to play in, but it was certainly a dareful incident, so I enjoyed that, and let's see, or a truthful one, and let's see, what else? Well, I'm waiting for a call back. Of course, this person said he was going to be ready and is not, which is typical of the male race, except for me. I always do what I say I'm going to do. And, yeah, so. One of the things I'm going to do is, well, there's a whole bunch. When? In the next few seconds, I'm going to walk around and wait for a phone call. I have a microphone which I bought yesterday and rigged up real cool with my jacket, but I don't want to deal with wires right now, so I'm not going to use it. And the audio quality actually wasn't as good as just the phone, but I could put my phone in my pocket, but then I have to walk around and talk to myself, even though I'm not really. I don't want to do that. So, instead, I want to hold two phones, which is a new microphone. So, because one phone will be broadcasting and one phone will be telephoning. So, I am stopped here on a not grassy, but at least not concrete spot here in Washington Square Park. As always, or almost always, tomorrow, no, not tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, I'm going to be up on 52nd and telephone call 52nd and 11th, bothering Jon Stewart to put me on his show. Welcome. You want to introduce yourself? Jackass? Hello? He's not actually a jackass, but he plays one in real life. Hello? Hello? Last chance. Okay, well, we'll see if he can get this part of the show to work, which is the basic one. Last time I did a show with him, he didn't want to put the whole thing on because the audio quality wasn't good enough for the Carnegie Hall Orchestra. And I was mad because it was a good show. So, oh, here we try number 2. Hello? 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 I cannot imagine that it is some problem I'm having. What? Hello? There we go. Now I can kind of hear you, but not nearly loud enough. Hello? Well, I don't know. This is what happens when you try to use too much technology. I'd rather just yell. But, anyway. Other wrong news. It's not bad news, it's just the wrong news. So it's the wrong news because the wrong people are in charge. So all the news they're making is wrong. Hello?
Okay.
There we go. Yes, I can.
Okay, I don't know what. I had to restart the application.
Okay, congratulations. Nobody cares. You're live. You want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Vincent Stone.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, he's not, but okay.
Yes,
I told them already that I would tell them if it was a lie, but I'm not going to tell them your real name unless you. Anyway.
That is my real name for all intents.
Okay, right. Fine, Vincent. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alan Wolf. Thank you.
Alex.
Oh, Alex, sure.
Obviously. Anyway, what were we supposed to talk about? I put something on Telegram, and you were supposed to say, oh yeah, Donald Trump and Huey Long are the same, sort of, except one side of the coin and the other.
Yeah, that is indeed what you had said.
Louder, more energy.
No, yeah, so we wanted to talk about the way in which Huey Long and Donald Trump are one and the same, except one had some love for the people and one has disdain for
One has disdain for the people, the common people.
the hoi polloi.
Okay. I don't know if that's the correct usage, but I'll go with it.
What is a correct usage anyway? It means what it means.
Oh, no. Don't go down that street.
Oh, you're one of those, huh?
Unfortunately.
Okay, see, I'm not one. I'm one of the ones who believes if your message comes across, use whatever words necessary in whatever order necessary. There is no prescriptive.
I wish you could be louder somehow.
Can you hear me better now?
I cannot believe I
listening
said.
to the audio.
Yes, I
Is
can.
that better?
Yes, I guess.
Okay, I've turned up the audio on my end. I do think that I'm hitting into the red a little bit on my audio.
I don't care.
level.
At least I can hear you, which is an important part of the
At least you can
conversation.
hear me. Right. Sure.
Okay. Now what?
Okay, so I have a list of headlines, but I didn't
goody.
bring my list
Okay.
up here.
Go ahead.
Okay, so this week, the week of March the 7th, 2005, we have
2005.
2025.
Why'd you
yes,
say 2005?
I said 2025.
We're going to have
Listen,
to. That played back.
So the first headline this week is Trump signed an executive order declaring that the United States now has an official language.
I saw
English.
that. Yeah, I know. Just because he wants to be a dickhead.
Well, he doesn't want to be. He is.
Right. No, but he wants to be. He likes being a dickhead to certain kinds of people, unfortunately.
Well, and it's always the type of people, as we just said, him versus Huey Long, it's always the type of people who are the average people. He doesn't have the same
average
level,
or
unless
less.
Unless they've crossed him.
The worse
right?
off people are, the more angry he is at them for some reason.
Well, like I said, unless they personally offended him, you're absolutely
Yeah.
right. But even still, the policy...
Like, how dare they want something that I have?
Exactly. And see, the issue with Trump this time around, it's so crazy to me. The first time around, he was universally kind of a joke, right? This time, shit has gotten so serious.
What do you mean he was universally kind of a joke? I mean, he's still a joke, but he's still in charge, unfortunately, too.
Well, the thing is that at the time, there's a definite shift in the direction in which people are treating it, not the direction. He's always been right wing. He's always been a terrible person. He's always pushed these
Can you speed up
policies
this explanation?
Well, that's what I'm getting to, is that now, in these days, you have a bunch of people who are on his side. We have judicial activists in the Supreme Court, right?
Right.
We don't
He has
have
all
checks
three
and
branches,
balances.
is what you mean to say.
He has all of it. Right. He is going to be able to dismantle. See, and like I've always said,
But he's not. You see,
Constitution is
he could do a
blood
lot more damage if he would just get together with Mike Jackass and come up with bills, but he's too lazy to do that. He doesn't really want to be president. He just wants all the power. It's a different thing.
I actually think that it's very smart what he's doing. He signed that executive order a couple weeks ago saying that, or maybe just last week, where him and his attorney general would be the ones who would interpret laws for all of these,
That was
all the
smart.
offices that he oversees. Well, but the point is that it's one of the biggest executive power grabs ever, maybe the largest ever. And so I think that what it's about is it's solidifying power instead of there being checks and balances. Which, again, how much of a check and how much of a balance is it, right? The system's flawed. I think that we've seen that this
No,
time.
I don't think the system's flawed. It's just stacked against the people who need it.
Well, okay, but at the end of the day, if the judiciary isn't able to actually stop Trump by saying...
Doesn't want
we
to.
say
They
this
certainly
is now-
can.
He's been ignoring executive order. He's been ignoring judicial rulings. And then on top of it, whenever you have the highest court in the land willing to rubber stamp everything he does, where whatever decision he makes will ultimately most likely be upheld by them, we're in a really weird situation where...
I'm not sure of the
He's got
last
all-
time, and you should look this up, or I can later, if there's ever been a situation where a right-wing president has had all three branches.
Honestly, I don't know, but at the end of the day, I think he wants to take power away from the other two branches of government as much as he can. I think that's what he is going for.
Well, he definitely
There
doesn't
are-
like that Mike Johnson has a powerful position, and he has to kind of listen to him. You're right on that. And he also doesn't like, probably, that he has to be nice to those 9 people, or not the 9, but the 6 that he's stuck in. And, yeah, so you're right about that. I'm sure he'd rather be Vladimir Putin's position.
Well, and at the end of the day, if we can accept the fact that the status quo or the institutions aren't the most steadfast that they could, they're not immune to these kind of threats, right? So if he's able to succeed and fundamentally reshape the way in which
No, he's not
these
going to
checks
succeed,
and
but
balances.
he'll try.
Well, okay, so I'm
He
with
can't
you. I
fundamentally
think,
reshape
honestly,
much if he's not using legislation. This is what I said. The
well,
executive
I
orders
don't
can be
agree with you.
undone very quickly.
I
The next time
I
there's a new
think
president.
I think that you're too optimistic. I think that
No, in
they've got a
2028
plan.
there'll be a new girl president, and she'll undo all that stuff.
But I don't think
2029.
that you're right.
I
I
do.
really don't think that. Okay.
Okay.
Well, again, in the
So you're saying that
meantime-
I'm not going to succeed. Thanks, campaign admiral.
Oh no, are you a girl running for president?
No, but there'll be one.
Then then I'm not talking about you. And again, I would love to see somebody like AOC come up. She's fine. Okay. Is she my no Democrat?
As long as she's not a Democrat, absolutely.
Well, she will be a Democrat.
No,
but my
she
point is,
won't.
no Democrat.
She's not going to be able to be in Congress unless she's independent. I'm sorry.
Well, okay, if that's the case, then we're not even going to be talking about her in terms of running for president. But she has actually.
Yes, because
said that
she's
looking at it
pragmatic. She
more-
doesn't really want to be a Democrat, but she had to be to win, at least in her mind.
I think that you know what? Honestly, if we could get a real independent.
Are you kidding me?
somebody
If
who
I'm like,
said-
you can be a senator as an independent or nothing as a Democrat, you think she's going to say B or A, whichever one was the good
Here's
one
the question.
or the bad
You got
one?
you've got a Bernie Sanders who is an independent.
Poor
You've
Bernie
got
has
the
to go.
potential for
He's
somebody-
term limited.
Well, you've got a potential for somebody like AOC to be an independent. What are the odds that a presidential candidate is going to be able to
Seth,
buck those odds to become
If I
president?
say it's going to happen, it's going to happen.
But listen, I think what you're talking about, and I wish that people would be more on board with this, and I would hope that you would put this as part of your platform, is we need to be talking about constitutional reformation.
I have
right?
direct
We need to be
democracy. How
talking
much
about
more
left
reformation do you
leaning.
want than that?
What is it?
Direct democracy. That's number 2, I think, on the platform.
The foundational documents, the framework on which this country is founded, has got to be updated.
Oh, yeah, I
think.
agree. Constitutional convention
I
sounds
think
great.
that's-
Where should
whatever
it be?
the other things
Miami
are,
Beach?
You know, I think. Yeah, actually, I think that would be a fantastic time. Maybe you could actually get people to come. I mean, you want people to be
Of
involved.
course,
That's
this is
the
going to
thing,
be
right?
a public thing. It's not going to be a backroom deal thing like the
And, you know,
last time.
To go to your point about direct democracy as well, that's an idea that, okay, it does have some limitations. I do think that there are some issues that come up from it. But you've got to remember the fact that when the founders created this country, they said people are dumb. They can't have too much power. We want them to feel like they have some say, but we don't want them to have too much say. You're fundamentally talking about changing that paradigm.
Yes.
You're talking about a shift. So you need to own that. You need
I
to let
just
people know
am.
this is not just status quo, right? That's where you are, and I think that's a beautiful thing. I think that if anybody is going to be able to make these kind of arguments in a forceful way, it would be you.
Okay,
So in
good.
that
All right. Well, I'm
regard-
glad we've arrived at the fact that I'm doing the right thing. Next.
Yeah. So as long as, but again, to frame it to the people out there, that's what's important. You have to let them
Okay.
know what it is. And I think saying
I'll frame
the words
away. You too.
constitutional-
What's next?
Okay. So next up on the docket, we have
Docket. Oh, I hate the legal system. That's got to be reformed. That's stage 2. Like, I can't handle dealing with that first. First, I gotta get rid of the Supreme Court justices by impeaching and convicting them.
on March 4th, Trump signed an order renaming the Anahuac National Refugee,
Oh, come on.
National Wildlife Refuge.
Obviously, that's stupid, and I disagree that it's a good idea. So, do you have a comment about Native American issues? Which I agree.
Wait a second. He changed the name of this refuge to the Jocelyn Ngare
Who?
National Wildlife Refuge, memorializing a 12-year-old victim
Oh, yeah, I saw
of
that.
immigrant violence.
All right.
What do you think? What do you make about this shift? What do you think? So you're saying that we can undo all of these things. You have this president now who is engaged.
I'm not saying you can undo all of these things.
Well, okay, but what do we do at this moment when we have a president?
Who's we?
The congressman over there, right?
Uh-huh.
You're the superhero. You're the congressman.
Right.
Tell us what we do to combat a president like this.
Get me elected.
Okay, but like, so if you could rally the troops right now, you want to get elected in 2026, right?
Right.
So you've got your people right here, right now. You've
Right.
got to build up the army. You've got to let them know that
Okay,
you
tell
are
your
the
friends.
general. Yeah, but you're the general, right?
Right.
You've got
well,
the
admiral
ability.
or something sounds good, but I don't really want to be in charge exactly.
You wanna be commander?
Careful,
I would go
careful,
with
careful.
commander.
I don't want to be that kind of in charge. It's more of a like I'm doing only what my job permits. I'm not
Hold on, but
making.
do you think the generals in the moment? Like, the whole point is that they're a figure.
Back off the
They're
military.
not the decision maker. Okay, whatever. At the end of the day, though, you're the decision maker in this campaign.
I'm
right?
the decider in George W. Bush's moronic language.
Okay, so again, don't run from it.
But not really in Congress. It's more of a get everybody together thing. It's not a deciding thing. That's president.
Well, again, okay. So how do you get your people right? So you.
Which people? The other 434
it's
congressmen
your
and women,
constituents.
especially that I get elected.
No, your constituents, because at the end of the day,
There's
that's your
nothing
team,
they can
right?
do except vote for me in 2 years and share my information now.
So okay, but all right. Well, I guess that answers my question then. What kind of a view do you have in terms of how the government
there's
works?
either going to be a violent
You're talking
revolution or
about-
it's going to be done politically. If it's going to be done politically, it's going to take a minute.
I don't think that those are the only two options. I really
Well,
don't.
for
I think
example, in New
there's
York,
a
you can get an independent mayor elected wins the mayoral election. I should know, but I don't know. I think it's in March or April.
But if these people get elected, if we don't make the foundational reforms, these people are getting elected into a broken system. And
What are the
inevitably
foundational
it's going to
reforms?
fall-
Parties go away. That's one.
Well, okay. How do you get these things done, though? I mean, so we're talking about getting them
By
done.
example, a good example. Here I do
Right.
this. I'm elected this
You
way,
realize that
spending
you would-
almost no
you would
money,
be-
and everybody's
you
like,
would be
"Oh, I
able
can
to
do that too."
Right. Because you're going to get political capital from your constituents
Absolutely.
when you win.
It's going to be like AOC times 4.
Right. So that's my point. So how do you maximize
I
their
can't
energy?
maximize anything right now. There's about 3 people listening.
Okay, well then in that case, what would your advice be to the average voter who's upset at this moment and wants to direct their energy to something that's
Okay,
tangible?
if they're in the 10th district of New York, they should run for office. And even if they're not, they should run for office. Run for office. That's how they can direct their energy. They don't like it.
Okay,
Instead
well-
of complaining, fix it.
Okay.
As an
Hey, man,
independent.
you know what? This is your show.
As a no donors independent.
That's fantastic.
And you can get
I'm not
your
gonna
no
lose that
donors
problem.
logo from my campaign admiral, and he'll come up with an email address. What is it? The Wolf of West Virginia at
The
gmail.com?
Wolf of West Virginia, all spelled out. Which we should change that probably. That's silly.
Okay, well, we just said
Yeah,
it.
we'll
Or
change
whatever.
that.
You just said it. I just said it.
Yeah.
Somebody just said it, and don't make it complicated.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, everybody go run for office because that's the only way to affect change. Anyway,
Is there another way? Am I missing something? I mean, if there's a specific thing, like I was trying to explain to you this morning in Malcolm X, there's somebody's beaten up or something, and they go to the police station, they
Yeah.
demand action that very second. That's the kind of protest that's effective. But just to say that Donald Trump sucks every time the weekend comes around doesn't really do anything.
well, again, so these are the. This is what I'm saying is that's actually an answer, right? So you would talk about targeted protests that have some action items.
Well, like what?
attached.
How, the only way to target Donald Trump is to surround their White House and go, "Hey, you suck," in a nonviolent, legal
Right, but
way.
that's what we actually. But you actually, if you could have millions of people showing up.
Yeah, but nobody's
giving
going to travel to
a
Washington to
very
complain
visible
because
mandate.
what really can they do? There's
You don't
not
need
much
to
they
be
can
in
do.
Washington.
But what
You
can?
don't need to be 100% in
How
Washington.
can he be
So,
stopped?
well,
The Supreme
at this
Court
point,
protects the things that he wants to do, and Congress protects the things that he hasn't thought of. So now what?
personally, I would say that every single state should be looking at finding a way to keep a constant occupying presence around the homes
Occupying
of
presence?
Senator.
Wait.
Yeah.
uh,
You want to pressure these people, you pressure them.
Yeah,
you
but
don't do
but-
anything
but
violent. You make sure that you're visible constantly, and there needs to be a constant pressure.
I don't like the
on all
personal
elected
harassment
officials.
that much. The White House is an
Oh,
office
let's
building.
not. Wait a second. Wait a second. Why is that personal?
White House
harassment?
is an
The
office
decisions
building.
That they make, the decisions that they make, affect everybody's real lives in
I
our
know.
real, in our home.
You're right. I mean, like I'm making fun of
I know
Donald
I'm
Trump
right.
all that I
know I'm
can.
right.
So
We've got to get past the point where you're scared to go. Oh, that's you're harassing.
no, I just
you're
because
harassing
there's a
the
very
public.
fine line between good change and riot, and I don't want riot.
That's not riot.
It can become
accountability.
riot very quickly.
No, it's not going
Yes,
to
it
become
can.
a riot very quickly. Not if
Because
your
the police
organization-
show up
not
and
if
say
your
you can't
organization-
stand here, and some jackass says yes I can, and then there's a fight, and then these 4 long cars are burning.
Listen, I mean, say what you will.
No,
there have been protests
that's
like
not
that.
good. I don't want
Okay.
that.
Okay, well, again, I think that you and I are different kinds of
You
people. I
want
consider
you want the
myself-
cars on fire? I mean, hypothetically,
I
an old
think
car
that- I think that-
fair
I
setting them
think
on
that-
fire would be
I
fun.
think that a Martin Luther King quote comes in handy here.
Yeah.
You're advocating for a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, Whereas I'm advocating for a positive peace, which is the presence of justice. You don't get that positive peace and that justice without breaking quite a few eggs, okay?
Martin Luther King was specifically not violent.
Martin Luther King also...
Like, that was his whole thing.
Martin Luther King's thing was nonviolence, but he did not exist in a world where there was only nonviolence, okay?
Okay, well, that's true.
The pressures that came from society on elected officials were so strong. They were so worried about the social fabric falling apart.
Okay, but
they took radical action.
You have to take the... What Supreme Court was that? A very liberal one. That's why all that stuff happened.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's upheld by the Supreme Court, but you need the Congress people and the president on board with these reforms as well. You get a mandate. That's the point. If you can get a mandate and so much pressure, visible, public pressure. How many people are...
See, it's a step-by-step thing. One branch has to say, all right, we'll authorize that. And the next branch says, all right, well, we want to do that. And the third branch says, all right, well, we can do that. And so it's like a 1, 2, 3, and by the time you get to 10, something has happened. So the Supreme Court saying in 1954 that the schools shouldn't be segregated opened the door for all kinds of just, well, my school is segregated. I want it fixed right now. And that's the kind of protest you can do because it's already been authorized by the most powerful branch. But that can't happen right now.
Okay, now I have a fundamentally different view of the civil rights era in that I don't believe that.
I mean, obviously, the civil rights.
I mean, you're saying that it was a done deal, and
no. There had to be that door was open, but Martin Luther King had to walk through it.
You're taking away all of the effort and energy,
right?
And sheer
it was just a legal door that was open. Then the protesters could be like, we're doing this for the right reasons, and it's already been authorized, and they had a lot of power behind that.
They didn't have pre-authorization when they started their protests. The protests started
before
to stand up to the tyranny, right? So, like, these all things play out, right? But all of it comes down to how much pressure can we exert. If your only pressure point is the voting booth, you have very little power. At the end of the day, all of these institutions...
Okay, let's pretend in a fantasy world, you can organize, 10 million people to come to Washington and say, we're not going to leave until...
You don't have to go to Washington. As I said, I would take a decentralized approach. This isn't the 1960s.
No, I know, but no matter what idea you come up with, I don't think much can be done right this second. But anyway, in your ideal world, what happens? There's protests in every city? You mean like Zuccotti Park? I was talking about that earlier.
Alex, here's exactly how I would see it playing out.
What was it called? The 2011 thing. You know, the 1%, right? Occupy Wall Street. There was all kinds of stuff then, and all the politicians were like, "All right, we'll fix something," and then the protests calmed down, and then they never did anything.
Occupy Wall Street was a leaderless movement. Occupy Wall Street did not have any action. They didn't have any actionable demands whatsoever.
True. Yeah,
fractured across the entire.
Well, they had
country.
A few demands, but it just wasn't right. There was no one with any power to do anything about it.
There was no centralized set of demands. Right, there was no thing where everybody was in agreement, where if Congress had acted and passed something, they would have disbanded. So it was confused, it was decentralized in the worst possible way. I would say that
so you want what? Everyday protests in every city across the country, or what?
No. I mean, you don't even have to have that kind of protest. The goal is...
So what do you want?
Okay, what can I speak? Let me tell you. Here's what you do. You've got to get public opinion on your side. We need
No. This is a fantasy world. What do you want to organize? How do you want to fix this? Tell me the process of it being fixed.
Okay,
because obviously Donald Trump will have to say, I undo this executive order.
How did Donald Trump...
He will literally have to say, all right, I'm canceling this or that executive...
This is silly to me because you're telling me that my idea isn't the way. My point is this. You've got to be able to reach those people out there in America.
They've been reached, and what are they supposed to do?
They have not... Okay, nobody is
You are perfect
them.
For the People's Socialist Liberation, or whatever it's called.
No, because actually the people reaching them are not reaching them in the way in which they should be reached. They're being reached by right-wingers.
Okay, so once they're reached, what do you want to do then?
Wait a second. How can you ever know if you don't let me finish? I'm telling you.
Because it's taking forever, and I'm bored, and I imagine the audience is too.
No, but but this is actually an explanation for you. So you've got both parties inundating people with messaging that's paid for.
Right.
You got platforms. You've got all of these ways.
Right. Get to the part where something happens.
Okay, you need to have that same type of apparatus for real information.
So another party?
Social media is pretty useless to us in that regard.
So you're talking about organizing something that already exists in 3,000 different forms, and they already don't do anything.
Okay, wait a second. So this is just silly to me. So you want to go and do what a million other
I
congressmen
want
do.
to
Wait a
know.
second.
I want to
No,
know the
it's-
process
wait a
for this
second.
being
You're sitting
changed
there-
because either the Supreme Court is going to have to say this stuff is wrong, which they're not going to do, or Congress has to say, okay, well, we're going to override a presidential veto and stop this stuff because it's wrong,
You know, it reminds
President
me-
Trump
it
is going to have to
it
say, you
reminds
know what,
me
this stuff
there's-
is wrong. I cancel this executive order. Which of the three is it going to be?
There was a term coined in the late stages of the Soviet Union
Oh, geez.
called hypernormalization. And that's exactly what you're exhibiting right now. You're saying, no, these things are set in stone.
These are legal processes, okay? They have to be stopped, and there's only three different ways to stop them. Which way would you suggest?
When there is no more unified institution in this country.
Oh, God, here we go with this crap. I'm running for Congress. I'm not